Good evening everyone, a bit full of goats here. Well, it's been 10 years since Duelist Lines came out. 10 years since the greatest deck ever was released, Burning Abyss. So because of that, on Sunday I took my new Burning Abyss deck to locals and did surprisingly well actually. We only had 3 rounds because of a couple of draws in the first round. But I went 2-1, beating Heroes and Melodious, before losing in the finals to 2 Elements, because they had a Winder on the field. I mean, what's more Duelist Lines fun than that than losing to Shadol Winder playing Burning Abyss? So you guys have seen a lot of this deck before in many other videos, but in this one, because it's the 10th anniversary, I'm going to go a bit more in depth on my cards. So enjoy the video, guys. Starting things off, we have 2 tour guides from the Underworld. Now, I've gone back and forth throughout the years on numbers of this card. I don't want to max out on this card because of it's still the biggest problem with this deck is its vulnerability to hand traps. Because the BA cards all lock you into their own archetype, you kind of can't afford to get this hashed or veiled because then your turn just ends because you can't, any BA you play, boom, it dies. However, if this card goes off, this card is a full combo by itself. It's also the best thing to get off of Scam, because it can search any fiend and it gets first in the field, so the BA search does not die by its own effect. You can make Cherubini, you get the BA effect, and you've got Ascension from there. So yeah, I think 2 is a good copy because this deck is built to grind for at least 3 turns, so you want at least 2 of these to get off a Scam. You could max out on 3, and I did if you want to, and I did actually play attack in this deck to help mitigate some of the damage hand traps can do against this card. But I still wasn't confident enough to max out on it. Speaking of which, I'm only playing the 1 Fiendish Rhino Warrior. This card, it stops your BA from dying to their own effects, and it's a forced burial. So this means you can do your link plays, and if you haven't quit through null summon, you can null summon this, and then you can play more BAs from your hand to extend if you've got non-BA links on the board. Also, with it being a forced burial in the grave, it gives you another way to access your effects if you've had to special summon one of them. So yeah, the 3 non-BA powerful fiend, I think that's enough for this deck at the moment. I debated the Terratop engine, which I've been playing Goblins, but I think this was good enough for the non-BA engine. Also, by the way, if you want advice on how to play this deck, I'd say just play Goblins. It is the better version of this deck at this point, until we get some support. So for the BAs, we'll start off with Graph, 3 copies. Now, this is the 1 Burning Abyss in this deck you want live on your first turn. If possible, you don't want to special summon this from your hand and have its effects turned off, because it's got to let you summon from the deck, so it gives you a free extension. Your ideal play is to go Tour Guide into this, make Cherubini, get a Scam, Cherubini dump Seer, get this back, make a Dante, because now you have another search for Scam off the detach, and follow up next turn. Next we have the card that makes grinding possible, 3 Seer. This card, when sent to the graveyard, summons BA back to the field, which when you play under your XC, you can use the XC, get its effects, and then if it dies, you can use it to add this back to your hand, and use Seer to summon Dante back to the field. So that way you've got a permanent, you've got a wall that got attacked through twice or removed twice, which again isn't as impressive as it used to be because cards need a lot more than that nowadays, but it still have a lot of rogue decks to break through. And for the other 3, to complete the trilogy, we have 3 Scam. This card lets you add a Dark Fiend to your hand in end phase, which means that you can end your combo with this and get a Tour Guide for next turn, or you can get another Burning Abyss if you have the fusion in play. You can dump. You can get a Burning Abyss to double its effects. This card, by the way, is also the best Burning Abyss in non-Burning Abyss decks. Particularly good in Labyrinth, actually, because you can dump this off a finisher, do your Labyrinth combo, then end the turn by putting a Chandrangle in your hand. Just a tech idea for you guys. And the last 3 is, of course, Father. Actually, this card, I think, has gotten better in the current format, with Fiendsmith running around everywhere. This card can banish a card to the end phase, meaning if you banish next to you can attach material from them. So if they make a Beatrice, you can use this, and then they only get 1 Beatrice activation like you do. So your Beatrice isn't worse than every other deck, that's so bad. But also, this can clear the way of going second for a one-shot. And it's something you can put under a Dante to make it more difficult for the opponent to OTK you. Now, a tech I would like to put in this deck is double copies of Alich, because I make Purple Dante fairly frequently in this game. Once my Beatrice around material, I try to crash her if possible to get the untargetable card drawing effect popping machine that is Purple Dante on the field. So having an effect veiler essentially in hand is really good. Also, this card is a good thing to turn off a Beatrice, depending on what you're playing against. It can shut down certain negate effects if they've already used their only negates. You can use this to protect for a second negate. And then we have one Ovs, one Libich. Actually, no, sorry, one of the two of. Two Barbars, one Libich, one Calcab. Calcab is just a name. It can occasionally be used to bounce set cards if you're playing against decks like Labyrinth. But they'll probably just change it, so it's both just a name. This one, if you are stuck under your links, you can snooze this, it'll die. And then just summon another Burning Abyss watching over its effects, so you can link climb with it. And this one is your time win. You detach this from material. You burn for 900 by bashing 3 monsters. And that is the Burning Abyss monsters. And all the monsters in this deck, we're playing no hand traps. We're just playing a bunch of trap cards and a bunch of disruption. So to start things off, we have 3 torrential tributes. This card, one of the oldest cards that can still be playable. Simple effect, point summons monster, boom, ball goes bye-bye. And this, we're probably going to float with the Dante, the Seers, and the Graphs, so we get far more of this than the opponent would. Yeah, this is pretty bad for playing against a Fire King deck, but fucking Snake Eye is not really a thing right now, it's more pure Snake Eye. And Voiceless Voice hasn't died out at my locals like it has a lot of others. So this is a great way to bait out the Omni Negate. Speaking of Bob Wipes, 3 Fire Lake. This card's simple. Pop 2 BAs, destroy 3 cards on the opponent's field. So you get 2 effects on your BAs, you get to pop 3 of their cards, and then you can recycle this with Dante if you're already in a good spot. You could cut this down to 2 if you wanted, but I basically focus this deck on a lot of big explosive plays. Yeah, I'm not playing things like Phoenix Wing, Wing Blast, or Camera Cut in this deck, because with things like the Voiceless Voice Room and my locals, and the amount of recursion decks have these days, I feel like it's just too much of a minus to do. I wanted to play a bunch of cards with a big impact on the board, such as 2 Dreamer Cannons, because this card against Link deck is pretty much just another Fire Lake or Torrential, but it can also just be good to keep you alive against other decks by booking winning the entire board. This is how BA can handle things like getting their field shut down by Castira, which yes, is up on my locals, but it's also good just dropping big monsters face down, where I hope I can run over them with my own monsters next turn. And then we have 3 IDP. Not only is this card non-targeting banishing removal, which is good against a lot of the Grave-centric decks right now, but it's also great with disruption because you can take a card from the opponent's graveyard, banish either one of their monsters, which gives you essentially 2 forms of disruption. And this came up against 2 elements once, actually, to prevent one of their fusion summons. Again, you could play things like Karma Cut and Phoenix Wing Blast for more disruption, but you're just getting a card for cost for both of those. So they get hit, you're still down card advantage. But against modern decks, you're always going to flounder. So I want something like this with high impact and no cost. Speaking of which, 2 Ghastly Glitch. This card is you dump a fiend and pop a card. Yes, it's a 1-for-1 piece of removal, but that targets, which isn't great. But it also lets you trigger off any of your BA effects, so that's why I play it in the deck. And for our spells, 3 droplets. Now yes, I said I don't want to play discard effects, but this one has built-in protection of not being able to be stopped by cards at the same time as you discard. So if you pitch a Burning Abyss to this effect, Voices, Skull Guardian can't negate you, things like that can't stop you, so you can just freely cut their points in half and negate the effects, making them easy to run over your smaller monsters. This is also a disruption to the opponent's turn, and it gives you access to all your Burning Abyss effects in the hand. Yes, you're going using a lot of cards from discarding, but how powerful this effect is and how much it floats, the BAs float, I think it's worth it. And finally, Foolish Burial, because an additional copy of every card in your deck, why not? And that was the 40 card main. Going on to the extra now. For the BAs, 1 Cherubini, triple Dante, those are the main, and of course 1 purple Dante. And to sum them out, we have the 1 Beatrice. So I chose to play the maximum Dantes because this is a trap deck, so I want that grind. I want more ways to recur multiple monsters to my hand. I'm gonna miss this card when she gets banned, but hopefully it'll mean we get new BA focused BA support. The cards be splashed into other decks. And of course, when she's sending this guy out, is he powercraft as hell? Yes. But he's a non-target, he's a card that can be targeted, that can trigger outbending with effects and cycle through your hand. And he deliver this card, which against certain decks can be really good. Cherubini, of course, if you have Tour Guide and Graph, you make this, you make a Dante, and you can make an IP for next turn. Speaking of which, this is supposed to be an IP. I don't know where the heck I put mine. But yeah, this is an IP. So you make this on your best hand with a Tour Guide. And then you got this and Beatrice for 2 disruptions with this. This card, I think you know what this does. It banishes a card on summon. It banishes stuff another card. It's essentially being a better father when these the effects. Great disruption. But you can also make these 2 off of the IP as well. This card obviously you can give your opponent's biggest monster without having to trigger its effects, and this is just a 2 or 3 negates of them, which a lot of decks nowadays I find difficult to get past. Again, another card in the deck will probably get banned on the next list because it is really powerful, but it's really good today. Oh, also, just a side note, if you play this and you don't play the bear, I will judge you. Just saying. Finally, for the links, 1 access code for a finisher. Again, you won't get too much out of this, but you can get 3 pops if you have dark, wind, and light. But even 1 or 2 pops can be enough to finish the game sometimes in the grind. And then for the XCs, we're going to be playing the future package because BA needs a negate to compete, which is what I hope they get for support. I don't need an archetype negate. But until then, you can slap 2 Dantes onto this. You've got a negate that can recycle material with the Dantes attaching, and a big body that's hard to out. Then we play the Zeus for going second. To clear their boards twice, possibly with Beatrice, because you got a BA, Dante, Beatrice, and possibly a second BA depending on how you play that turn. So that's potentially 2 interruptions with this card. And my 1 tech today was Gossip Shadow, which requires level 3 monsters, and you can turn any effect for 2 material into both players draw 1 cards. So if I can make this with special summon before Tour Guide, commit quick focus and Tour Guide, I can go this, Tour Guide, full combo with Cherubini, and they can't stop it, and I might get a card draw out of it. And then for the side, so this is mostly going first trap focus deck. So for the side, I was playing a lot of board breakers with Dark Ruler, evenly matched, and Lightning Storm. So the 2-2 ratio for those is, well, this is at 2, but I only had 1 extra slot open, so I couldn't play the 3. I would have if I could have. Speaking of board breakers, we're playing 3 Super Polys and the Super Poly targets. Now we're playing these because there's some boards we just can't out with the Burning Abyss cards these days because they're so old. In fact, remember when I lost to Winder? 1 more turn, this on top of my deck. I could have drawn this out of the window, then Link climbed for the victory. You know, that was kind of a painful pill to swallow. But this did come up 1 game to out a hero board, so that was really good. Also, this is a level 6, so you could, if depending on what you play next deck, you could make a Beatrice cat in this deck, but it could be possible depending on what you're playing. And for going first, 3-dimensional barrier. Play this against the hero deck and the tier deck. There are a lot of decks right now that are not going for links, like there's Tenpai with Synchros, there's Ritual Beast with its fusions, Tier's got fusions, etc. So this is a really good shout if you know you're going to go first. And that was 10-year anniversary of Burning Abyss. Now, this deck, I'll be honest, I did well, but I got lucky not going out to shift the deck. Can this deck compete realistically in modern Yu-Gi-Oh? No. And to be honest with you, I'm not really dreading the Beatrice ban like a lot of Burning players are. Because let's be honest here, guys, this deck hasn't been playable with her. It won't change when she's banned. And what I'm really hoping is when Beatrice is banned, Camille stop being so scared to print new support for Burning Abyss. And we might get this deck back to these rogue stuff that's like Ritual Beast did and like Stall got to do 2018. That is my hope. I do intend to make a video one day soon suggesting ideas for new support, so look forward to that. In terms of scripted content, I'm sorry it's been lacking over the last couple of weeks. I've been doing courses in real life to try to get a job, so that's been taking up a lot of my time, but hopefully we can start again late this week or early next week. Thank you all for watching. Happy 10th year anniversary to Burning Abyss and the Duelist Lines era in general, and I'll see you guys in the next one.